But of course, we cannot disregard Giovanni in Travaglia, one of the many Italians still left in competition, who brought the very popular Rescue Ace strategy, basically the deck to beat if you just look at the numbers before Top Card started. And he won the die roll as well, and therefore you definitely have to look out for him. And he starts off with Kashtira Fenrir here in his Rescue Ace strategy.
Yeah, that makes much more sense. When I saw the hand initially, I thought, why is he running Card Trooper? But it is the ultimate rare copy of Kashtira Fenrir. And now we are seeing something that Tom mentioned earlier, special summoning Kashtira Fenrir and then not immediately activating the effect, but going for a search first, so you can get those valuable searches before you get hit by Drone Lockbird.
Yeah, respecting the Drone Lockbird, which is even in his own deck, so obviously he respects it a lot if he's going to include 3 copies of it.
Indeed. Giovanni now normal summoning the airlifter. He just searched with the reinforcement of the army and then activating the effect, of course, as well. Quickly reconsidering his options in hand, but deciding on Emergence as the search target.
What do you think of this matchup overall? I've heard a lot of people say that it's very nice for Labyrinth because those powerful cards, the Rescue Ace set, don't do too much. They don't destroy spells and traps, so...
Yeah, I do agree. It seems like a good call into specifically the Rescue Ace deck, and that's probably one of the main reasons why Labyrinth is this successful this weekend.
I think Labyrinth is one of the best decks right now, especially in this tournament, especially this meta call. People have been dropping a little bit of spell and trap removal. People are, of course, also shifting towards Cosmic Cyclone, which is naturally very strong against the deck. However, you're laughing right now because of the Cosmic Cyclone, but they're maybe not playing those Lightning Storms, those Evenlies. I mean, we've seen all those Hobby Feather Dusters anymore. And the deck has changed as well. It's not just set for back row anymore. It's a lot of combo-ish play.
Absolutely. And I mean, let's be honest. Gabriel Nats has switched away from Telements, and we know how much he loves that deck. He was so happy he could play that again at YCS Dortmund. And when he goes away from that deck to play the Labyrinth strategy, that already tells you that the deck must be in a really good spot right now in the format.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't strike me as the type of person who wants to go around setting 4 traps.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think he's going to set a few traps and then summon some monsters.
I do agree.
I've always kind of thought that the Rescue Ace deck is a bit like an upside-down Labyrinth deck because it summons some monsters, which then set all your traps, whereas the Labyrinth, you set a bunch of traps and then summon all your monsters.
That's a very good comparison. By the way, this would have been an angle for Gabriel to respond. If you have the Arias and Daruma Karma Cannon, I think this is the best position you can use it on, discarding the Arias, activating the Daruma Karma Cannon to just set this Fenrir and, of course, also the Turbulence.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, we saw Giovanni there just setting one of his trap cards, but in his list we see that he's running Contain and Extinguish, so I would personally assume that he drew one of those. But he also can, of course, still right away activate one of the cards he just set. Even though it's a quick play spell, we have Hydron on the field, and that allows us to immediately activate one of those cards that were set this turn, and therefore we are going to, I think, grab Preventer there, was it? It looked like Preventer to me.
Makes sense to me.
And then we are going for a link into IP Masquerena. Of course, SP Little Knight being more popular, but still we see quite a bit of IP Masquerena this weekend, honestly.
I mean, if you use IP Masquerena to go into the SP Little Knight, you, even if you're starting the game, can get value off of the summon effect of SP Little Knight, which is banishing a card from the field or the graveyard. Very flexible here. Don't get confused by the different artworks. There are 2 for IP Masquerena.
Yes, indeed. So it looks like Giovanni may be done with his turn, and Gabriel says in end phase, I want to also start playing on your turn, and we are going to activate one of the so-called furniture pieces of the Labyrinth deck, and this is going to be Chandelier activated its effect, sending Ariana to immediately set a card to the field.
Yeah, Gabriel's deck including an awful lot of this, so some of the Labyrinth decks play like a trap deck. You kind of set a bunch of powerful trap cards, skill drain, goes and match, whatever. But in this deck, we're using a lot of acceleration. Get your Labyrinth traps to summon the monsters.
Yeah, for sure. He plays triple Chandelier and also triple Stovey Tovey there.
And this first felt like not the strongest play ever because you are discarding 2 cards to just set 1. But those Labyrinth furniture pieces, the Stovey Tobby, the Coup Clock and the Chandelier, they just recycle themselves all the time. So you can really, I think this is the grindiest deck in the format.
Yeah, most likely. And then we can also start our turn off by activating Pot of Extravagance, as we know only at the start of main phase 1. But that's perfectly fine if we can resolve it and get 2 extra cards through it. And Gabriel now with everything ahead of him. 4 cards in the back row. It feels like a Labyrinth mirror match, but as you were just saying, the back row that the Rescue Ace deck has to offer isn't that impressive into Labyrinth.
Yeah, I'd be really interested to see how Gabriel navigates this.
Oh, is that... Okay, look, there's the little brother of Chandelier. That is Stovey Torby, maybe even the big brother, some would argue, because it's the slightly better card, if you ask me.
It summons itself back to the field. However, this could trigger Kashtira Fenrir if you summon it back soon, and Kashtira Fenrir would be able to banish it face down. We are discarding an Infinite Impermanence, which is not a card that you necessarily always want to discard. However, it also doesn't hurt you to discard it. It's not a valuable resource. It's just good to have sometimes.
Yeah, that's true. So we're holding back on activating the Labyrinth trap that we set before, because we don't want to have a card face up on the field when we activate all of those effect monsters or monster effects, and therefore we would be able to trigger the Fenrir. So far Gabriel perfectly playing around the Fenrir, and now we set the field spell Labyrinth to our field as well.
I think that Giovanni just pointed his IP Masquerena, identifying that Labyrinth could be a really big powerhouse for Gabriel in the grind game, going for an SP Little Knight already, possibly trying to target the Labyrinth, because of course every time you activate a Labyrinth card, then you're going to trigger all of your Labyrinth Chandelier or Stovey Torbys in the graveyard.
Yeah, totally. I like that. Because Gabriel can interact with a lot of his things, but he cannot interact with the set field spell right there, and therefore I like going after it with SP Little Knight, and that is exactly what's going to happen, and that card now gone for the duel.
And we're going to special summon back Airlifter because, of course, the Preventer has been linked away into the SP Little Knight, so we're going to be able to special summon out a banished Rescue Ace monster right there.
Yeah, and now that Gabriel's field spell is gone, Giovanni decided it's time for his own field spell, and he searched out the Rescue Ace field spell, being Rescue Ace Headquarter.
A nice little trap from Gabriel here, summoning the Ariana. If this is negated or attempted to interacted with, then you can chain that big welcome that he's set face down to return it to his hand and summon another Labyrinth from the deck.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, look at that. Giovanni immediately trying to activate the effect of SP Little Knight, kind of forcing his opponent to maybe use the big welcome. But Gabriel is saying, I'm fine with this because I am going to resolve the Ariana anyways, right?
You could just still get the effect off of it, so I don't see the big problem for him with it. Now, what I think is going to be interesting, I thought he would maybe search for a Coup Clock to discard this one and have a little bit more follow-up play, go for the big welcome, then later on get the Chandelier and Stovey Torby back and then add the Coup Clock off of their effect again. But he decided to just search out the Lady.
Yeah, okay, we set another card, we activate the effect of Lady Labyrinth, and we summon it out in defense position too.
Lady Labyrinth super clutch here because all of Giovanni's interaction is targeting. And the Lady Labyrinth can't be targeted while you control a set, so Gabriel just setting another face down to prevent the Lady from ever being targeted.
Ooh, but Giovanni is thinking about a response here, and indeed he is going to respond with Alert, apparently. And Alert is going to target the Preventer in the graveyard.
I like that here. It's just solely to prevent the Lady from being able to set a trap from your deck for free.
Very smart there. It's not about the summon itself, but just preventing the effect of Lady is definitely valuable here.
I find that really interesting because he himself has some normal traps set. So the Lady could chain off of those. However, with Big Welcome, the Lady is probably going to be taken back to the hand. You're trying to maybe summon out a lovely Labyrinth of the Silver Castle, and then that one would be really fragile if you add back the Lady Labyrinth, because you can actually just contain it or extinguish, or both if you want.
Or Fenrir. There's so many.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways, but still, like, this big welcome Labyrinth is still going to have a huge impact here, because we have Chandelier and Stovey Torby in our graveyard, which both are going to recover and which are both going to come back to the hand there. Oh, look at that. We still want to play around all of those targeting cards, and therefore it's another Lady Labyrinth coming down there.
Looks like Gabriel took what you said into account, Leo.
Yeah, I like that a lot, because we basically just switched the battle position of the card. Now you have it in attack position. You can, if you want to special summon it from the hand via its own effect, you can only summon it in defense position.
Yeah, I think that was a very smart move there by Gabriel, and he's just accumulating resources here. So he wants this game to be very long. He wants this game to go on for a very certain time. Oh, but he does summon back the Stovey-Torby, which I find interesting, because now we could use the Fenrir on the Stovey-Torby.
But Stovey-Torby is a quick effect, so if the Fenrir targets the Stovey-Torby, you can just chain it immediately.
But I'm pretty sure we used the Stovey-Torby this turn, didn't we? We started with Chandrily on our opponent's turn, and then when we did the Stovey-Torby on our turn, so I think it's actually somewhat vulnerable here, and I would probably just use it, because if we don't use it here, there might be Chaos Angel that comes down.
Yeah, it's good to keep in mind which of the Labyrinth cards prevent you from summoning from the extra deck. And I think it's just the ordinary Welcome.
Alright, he set the Labrynth with the Stovey-Torby. Now
Yeah,
I was
exactly.
trying to find the card that he set with Stovey-Torby. But
Yeah,
I mean,
it's gone
Giovanni doesn't
already.
seem to respond.
Yeah, and now he can just attack over the Fenrir, so that's really, really interesting.
Yep, I agree. I think it's... Oh, we are attacking over
Ooh,
the Preventer.
interesting.
Might be because Preventer's special summoning back effect is, of course, hard once per turn, meaning that it can only be activated once, even if you summon multiple Preventers.
Yeah. Okay, so Giovanni thinking about it carefully here. Is he going to respond? Is he going to do something about this? No! Preventer is being attacked. Preventer is being sent to the graveyard as a result of the... as a result of this attack.
Yeah, Preventer was prevented.
Preventer was... I'm interested... Did you not just, like, set the Stovey there?
He could have. I mean, yeah, I like it, because then you cannot activate the quick effect anymore. That's true.
Yeah, it's like, why not?
Okay, we set one card into a column where already a card is from Giovanni, so that may be an indicator that we comfortably discard the impermanence because there's another one in our hand.
Oh, that is a very nice train of thought. We're summoning back the Ariana, this time in defense position. Of course, it is returned to the field and not special summon. Okay, we're returning it in attack position then. But it also has another effect. And now we're activating the Stovey-Torby. Is this possible?
Yeah, I think this was the first action this turn rather than the Chandraglair, but maybe we got them in the incorrect order. But I think Leo is correct that we've already used it once this turn.
I would say so too. And I mean, we are still on the same turn, so this should probably just not be possible.
Yeah, Giovanni's not drawn a card yet for his turn, so...
Indeed.
Did he activate the Stovey-Torby in the end phase?
I think it was the Chandraglair. I might be wrong.
I mean, he activated the Chandelier in the end phase, and maybe he activated also the Stovey-Torby. That is a possibility.
No, I mean, maybe we got it wrong. It's very possible.
We can't hear what the players are saying, so this might be room for some confusion. But let's see if the judges have anything to say about that. If not, then we are probably incorrect about this. However, let's focus on the game state again, because this did not look like a very impressive turn from Gabriel Nets. He just summoned out a big monster with 3,000 attack points there, and he now has 3 cards set. But what it does is pressure the opponent. Giovanni now has to out this Lady Labyrinth, and that is not easy because you can't target it. Especially with this deck, you can just wait. His opponent has to go over many motions to get rid of that card, and then he could just summon out another one.
Yeah, it's very annoying and very inefficient to deal with those face-down cards. Some decks kind of just breeze through them, but other decks, you know, you have to go to a lot of effort, and the Rescue Ace interactions are mostly with monsters.
Yeah, I
Judges
do
there just
agree.
confirming.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, we caught it correctly, or at least we are trying to think about it here, because Stovey-Torby was definitely the effect was used there the second time, because Stovey-Torby is the only one that can send himself from the field there. And now the question, of course, is going to be whether it was the Chandelier that was used in the previous turn or whether it was Stovey-Torby.
It's good that we are actually paying attention sometimes.
Yeah. We're just double checking now. As you can see, the judges are kind of reconstructing what was happening there.
Rare occurrence, huh?
Very.
But I'm very sure that I started off saying that Chandelier was the one activated in the end phase, right? I'm pretty convinced that was the case.
Chandelier was 100% in the end phase. It discarded the Ariana.
Yeah, yeah, and then, of course, we activated the...
Pot of Extravagance.
Yeah, we activated the IP Masquerena to get rid of the... It was definitely in the same turn. I'm very, very sure.
I mean, the Stoby could have also come down in the end phase. There's also in the reign of possibilities, but I think it was after drawing something with the Extravagance, right?
Okay, so now... Okay, Stoby has been returned to the field, so we have agreed that Stoby was used that turn before.
So I think we're just rewinding to the end phase, and Gabriel's using the Chandragleer rather than the Stoby.
Yeah, true.
Another Kashtira Fenrir wants to chain. And
oh no, maybe we've gone...
now I'm confused.
Yeah, now we're into Giovanni's turn, so maybe we weren't rewinding and just using the Chandragleer on our own, on Giovanni's turn, but then I don't see how you could activate the big welcome.
All right, so we now figured it all out. I think I just got the information by the judges that by mistake, Gabriel was trying to activate Chandelier all the time, but he wasn't aware, or in that moment forgot that he could only send cards in hand for that. So he was trying to activate Chandelier, but he sent the Stoby from the field, which of course is not possible.
Aha.
Okay, emergency. Oh, but big welcome Labyrinth is being activated, and now Lovely, for the first time, is having a lovely time on the field, and of course, most likely trying to destroy something. Are we going after something on the field here?
I
Probably
think
with
we're going
Turbulence,
after,
right?
after Fenrir.
Maybe even Fenrir? You could be right.
I mean, if Fenrir takes out the lovely Labyrinth of the Silver Castle and banishes it face down, then it's gone for forever, or rather for this game. And this really hurts the grind game of the deck.
Yeah, I do agree. That could be the solution. But maybe there's an impermanence set, and then that could also be prevented somehow.
We have to wait and see, because Giovanni can chain to the Lovely, perhaps. And the Lovely, you don't actually have to choose until it resolves.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, Chandelier activating here again, returning to the hand, and we go after the field spell. So both players deciding that the field spell of the opponent's deck maybe is the most important card for the duel, and therefore also the headquarter goes to the graveyard now. Oh, but let's not forget that he can also activate the effect of Turbulence there, going after the back row too. Some people forget about that effect sometime, and so Gabriel is forced to chain the Welcome Labyrinth there.
Leo himself just looks fairly shocked at that.
No, I just definitely only got the card up for the audience to also read the text. Did I say also read the text?
I mean, honestly, it is surprising, because Turbulence, for the first effect, is already so crazy that you can just set 4 cards from your deck, and then just casually on the side also being able to, when one of your cards on the field leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect, then destroy 1 card on the opponent's side of the field. Seems like a nice add-on, isn't it?
Yeah,
I love those
like a very good
effects.
bonus.
Yeah, okay, Welcome Labyrinth now, though, being activated. Gabriel, as you can see, really having to think here. At first, the Labyrinth deck seems pretty easy because it's all about trap cards. Yeah, you activate some trap cards, Welcome Labyrinth, big Welcome Labyrinth, but it's so complicated because you have to have so many resources in mind all the time. You have to kind of calculate on how long the game is going to go on, how long you want the game to go, because you are kind of dictating the pace of play with a Labyrinth deck, and therefore you always have to have so many factors in mind.
Yeah, it's a bit like constructing a clock.
Yeah, but we didn't see Kuklok just yet, yeah.
Oh, we might actually see Kuklok, and we are getting rid of the lovely Labyrinth of the Silver Castle. Gabriel decides it's worth to activate the effect to just destroy the HQ, because it would generate more value than having the lovely Labyrinth in the game as well. And now I'm curious to see what the Ariana is going to search of. Maybe we're going to get a Kuklok out to make this impermanence life that he just has set by the Lady effect.
Yeah, and I mean, it's the only part of the engine that is still missing, right? We have Stoby in rotation, we have the Chandelier in rotation, and the only thing that is missing is the Kuklok. But of course, we could also just go for one of the trap cards to have more setup for the next turn, assuming that we're going to survive here. But, of course, Giovanni can still respond with all the traps that he set, and he finally gets a chance to do so, to activate Contain here. And Contain is probably going to target that Ariana here.
It's the only target, right? Can't target the lady at the moment.
Oh, but Gabriel may have another response here.
this is looking troubling. Oh, and Daruma, destructive Daruma Karma Cannon is not only one of the best defensive cards in the game that will immediately get rid of the SP Little Knight, but it also sets all the other monsters face down. However, I think that this turn, Kashtira Fenrir and Turbulence might be able to just be flipped up again, but we're getting rid of the SP. Oh, SP actually banishes the Kashtira Fenrir.
I mean, of course, the SP Little Knight is never going to be sent to the graveyard through Destructive Karma Cannon when you could just chain it instead. So yeah, that was an easy way to avoid it. And I like getting the Fenrir also off the field. You kind of had to target something, and I think the Fenrir there might have been the correct choice.
The Kuklok, though, has just been shut off because you can't activate a trap card this turn unless you already control a Labyrinth monster.
Indeed. Okay, normal summon Hydrant.
Oh, that looks good.
That is a pretty good normal summon to have there. Giovanni with all those set monsters on the field now. It's more set monsters than set spell and trap cards there, actually. Okay. There comes the Kuklok. Chandelier also being activated, discarding Stovitor. We knew about those cards in hand.
That is good, because now we know how we get this Kuklok live again, because Kuklok is now going to special summon itself out, and you're able to activate a card, actually, and that is going to be the Impermanence, probably, to shut down this Hydrant.
Yep, very well planned by Gabriel. Looking good. Can he do this? But Impermanence always, of course, kind of tough. Oh, but look at that. We could just get rid of another one, but we just chained the Imperm there. Okay, so we were trying to get rid of the Fiend monster, but smartly enough, Gabriel just chains the Impermanence on the Hydrant.
Do we think there are more targets for Turbulence if you just flip summon it now?
Yeah, I think we can set up to 4, right? So it's fine. So we are going to now use Extinguish there.
Sometimes players also forget that they can just change the battle position of their monsters.
Yeah, it's a classic. You know, if you use like Triple Tactics Talents and somebody plays Book of Moon, you can just flip it up, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I assume there's nothing on Daruma Karma Cannon that says otherwise, right?
I don't think he's going to flip it back up.
Oh, this would have been a very destructive Daruma Karma Cannon right there, if this is the end of Giovanni's turn. Gabriel Netz must be on the edge of his seat right now. That was the pass.
Is, in fact.
Oh, we're going to get the SP back, though, and the Kashtira family Giovanni almost forgot about those, and then Gabriel said, hey, it's not that bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's massive there, because if you flipped up the Turbulence, then you can't target the Hydrant anymore, so then, you know, quite a lot happens there. The Hydrant might not have been able to be targeted by the Impermanence. You can resolve it.
Was the Turbulence on the field before, or was it summoned this turn?
It was on the field before.
Okay.
Okay, so checking the options. Or maybe Destructive Karma Cannon says you cannot flip them back up. I'm just double checking on that real quick. The Destructive Karma Cannon.
Let's get Neron out.
Yeah, indeed. Okay. So, back to Gabriel. He flips the Lady up again, and probably the Ariana is going to follow soon. Yep, there it is. Ariana also being flip summoned. And what's next, Gabriel? Do you have a way to get monsters off of the field? I mean, battle phase is a pretty easy one. Attacking over the Hydrant, taking out opponent's monster. #1, but Giovanni may have an answer ready.
Ariana, of course, a powerhouse in terms of attack and defense. But we're going to attack over the Hydrant now, and now SP Little Knight is open for an attack as well. That Lady Labyrinth of the Silver Castle is looking funky right now.
Ariana's like massive. It's got 1/6 and 2/1 defense. It's just, that's so big for a level 4 monster.
And I really like that we're attacking over the Kashtira Fenrir right now, not the SP Little Knight, because Kashtira Fenrir, it looks more threatening to me.
I do agree, it does indeed. The SP Little Knight also somewhat scary, I don't even know. Both of the cards are really valuable. And this game won already such a long and draining duel here. Already more than half of the time gone for the entire round, and we are still in game #1.
Yes, and now we're seeing the SP Little Knight chain to the welcome Labyrinth. Of course, this is to prevent the Lady Labyrinth to chain and just set a trap card, a normal trap card with a different name from the deck to the spell and trap zone. And this is looking, I don't know how it's looking right now, to be honest.
Yeah,
because
it's still super undecided.
Is this a little trick from Gabriel? Because now that he's forced out the SP Little Knight, you can chain the big welcome from your graveyard. get rid of that SP Little Knight for good, and then trigger all of your furniture from the grave.
Oh, look at that. Gabriel has exactly that in mind. We are going to target the SP Little Knight with the big welcome Labyrinth. And indeed, it is gone.
Maybe Gabriel just checking there what happens to the other monster that was targeted by SP Little Knight.
Yeah.
And now you're going to resolve the welcome Labyrinth first. He was already getting into that graveyard right now, going, hey, I'm going to get my furnitures back. But no, you first get another card from the deck, which is also kind of fine.
Yeah, sorry, Gabriel. Can't do that yet. You just have to summon a monster from your deck first.
Also, I just double-checked. The Rumor Cannon certainly does not tell the player that you cannot flip them back up. So he could have absolutely flipped the Turbulence back up. So maybe a big mistake there for Giovanni. Of course, Gabriel, the far more experienced player, having a bunch of tops on his resume. And Giovanni, a new face here in our coverage.
Have Ariana, the Labyrinth servant. We're pointing at it. I don't know why we are. Oh,
it also has another effect, to set a trap from your graveyard, I think.
No, that is, wow, we are actually scooping on Giovanni's side. Gabriel, and that's out grinding the Rescue Ace player Giovanni after a perfect Turbulence SP Little Knight start. This was looking very good, but he just went through it with a monster with 3,000 attack points and a few sets.
Yeah, and I mean, you could see that he's confident in himself. He was nodding. He was really, really happy that he could win this going second because the setup really was immense. And still, he was able to get through all of that. He really wants to win it this time. And I think he's ready. He had enough just tops. He wants the win this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really rare sight to see what we saw from Gabriel there, just allowing the Rescue Ace deck to do everything it wants and then just pushing through it anyway. I think a lot of players said, if I'm playing against Rescue Ace, I have to stop the Turbulence. If I let them resolve the Turbulence, that's just too much to push through.
Yeah.
But Gabriel says, no.
Exactly.
You don't have to push, you just slightly shove from turn to turn, and all of a sudden your opponent is falling down the metaphorical Yu-Gi-Oh cliff.
Yeah, and it's actually quite interesting because we saw Giovanni, yes, he made a cool field, but he decided not to include the Synchro package into his extra deck and also not the Cybers package. So he just goes for SP Pass all the time, apparently, or maybe IP Masquerena, like one of that. But there's no Baron de Fleur, there's no Isolde, there's none of the Cyber stuff, as I was saying. So maybe it was just not good enough because he didn't rely on the extra engine to be in there.
Yeah, I mean, there were a couple of situations there. Maybe if he'd remembered to use the Fenrir on Gabriel's first turn, or flip up his Turbulence the turn after, he might have had enough. I mean, it's tricky. It's always that decision you have to make. Do I include some extra stuff for going first, or do I just make my deck as consistent as possible?
Yeah, but I mean, he's certainly going to include more stuff going first here because he can now use his side deck, and there is a card that has already won games this weekend. Solemn Judgment it is.
Yes, and I think that both of the players are already set for Game 2, so let's go into the game.
Additionally, cool cards to bring in versus the Labyrinth strategy, which don't seem amazing initially, are the Bestials, because you can just take care of the Chandeliers and the Stovey Torbys of the world, because those, of course, activate in the graveyard. And then being met by a Bestial Druid Swarm or Magnamut is definitely something you want to do, and it's definitely something that could help you win the duel.
Yeah, I was definitely thinking that myself. I was like, can you side in those Bestials? The only issue is they won't be alive on the first turn, because you can just use the Chandeliers and Stovey Torbys during the end phase, and the Bestials are not a quick effect until you have a monster on the field. So maybe not, but maybe.
Yeah, okay, so Giovanni grabbing Kashtira Fenrir off of the first copy and then summoning out Diabellstar the Black Witch by discarding the other Fenrir. Now there is a Veiler on the Diabellstar the Black Witch, though.
Yeah, the Occultador de Efetos is really striking right now, and we're going to see a Pot of Prosperity follow-up. So no normal summon use, 2 monsters on the field already. It is still looking good for Giovanni. He could just find his way into an Airlifter, which would make everything okay.
I'm pretty sure he would be happy about seeing an Airlifter here, or maybe a reinforcement of the army or something. Maybe he already has that, and the Pot of Prosperity here was a bait for Ash Blossom, and then he just continues to normal summon anyways. But whatever it is, we will see in just a second. What is he going to take? Maybe there's also Solemn Judgment, and I mean, having Fenrir plus Solemn Judgment sometimes could also be enough, let's be real. Okay, so Impulse is there. There's Emergency, which would be a way into Engine 2. And the last card was Airlifter there. Okay, so if he wants it, he has it. And indeed, he is taking the Airlifter. Yes, he does take the Airlifter.
That is just the best normal summon.
Yeah, I'm wondering who signed that card, right? Because he has someone signed that card. Maybe someone that won a tournament with it before, and Giovanni just wants to win this tournament, and so he was like, I need you to sign this card so I can do the same.
Was it not you, Basti?
Sure, it was me.
I see you signing cards all weekend.
Nah, it wasn't me. I'm pretty sure. Giovanni was busy playing the tournament, so he wasn't asking for autographs this weekend. Okay,
it kind of looks like Puck, to be honest.
Could be, could be.
But let's stop speculating about that one. We are going to see the Emergence activated, already trying to put it into the graveyard, but we are not quite there yet. If it even was put into the graveyard, maybe it was just put into another monster zone. But now we have the, yeah, there we go. Now we have the Turbulence already, and Turbulence is ready again to set 4 spell or trap cards of the Rescue Ace archetype.
Yeah, wasn't good enough in game number 1. Let's see how it works out in game 2. He does not cite any additional trap cards, so it's just probably going to be the same setup that we also had in the last game. Okay, okay. Or maybe he just sets 1 trap again. Looks like he may have drawn the 1 trap once more. Maybe he also sided it out though, because it's not that great versus Labrynth, let's be honest.
Yeah, maybe you would rather have more spell cards to gain more additional value, and of course to stop the Lady Labyrinth of the Silver Castle to set spell or trap cards. Or rather just trap cards. Definitely just trap cards, to be honest.
Okay, another card being set and nothing else by Giovanni. He says this is enough, this will be carrying me to victory here in game number 2. And now it's over to Gabriel, who I think is still thinking an end phase whether he wants to do something there. Is there going to be Stovey, Torby or Chandelier again?
I'm wondering, you know, who's playing Labrynth here? That's
yeah, I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell you. Giovanni with a full set of 5 cards in the spell and trap zone, and yeah, it looks like, as in the last game, Chandelier is going to be the first one that is being activated.
Oh, and we're actually discarding a big welcome Labyrinth, which can be really nice because it is this additional resource in the graveyard, just a bounce, returning something from the field to the hand if you have a Fiend monster on the field.
Yeah, indeed. So, Gabriel. Another card that he has included into his deck there, which we just had a quick look at, is the Phantasme. And I think Giovanni might have just played around that here, right? He did not link summon because Phantasme has been a very popular card in a lot of side decks that I saw throughout the tournament, throughout the weekend already. And by just not link summoning, you give your opponent 1 card that he cannot do anything with in his hand.
Well, you say that, but the Labrynth deck has got this unique way of using all of the cards in their hand just by putting them straight into the graveyard.
Fair, yeah, true. Okay.
Already playing again on our opponent's turn. The Lady Labyrinth of the Silver Castle is just being summoned in defense position, and of course it is untargetable right now.
You can even use the big welcome this turn. Yeah, because it's in the graveyard.
Oh, right.
So you can only use each one of the effects per turn, and only once that turn. But
just immediately getting rid of the Fenrir, maybe? That could be something that Gabriel wants to do here. But it looks like he was already grabbing his deck there, ready to draw for turn, and that is indeed what is happening. So now Gabriel immediately again going into that pose where you see that he's really thinking about it, going into a mode of heavy thinking. Okay, 1 card into the spell and trap zone, attack position for the Lady Labyrinth.
I like this. Before you start playing with the big welcome, you can just use this attack over the Fenrir to play through your opponent's field. Fenrir is really annoying with the interaction that benches something face up from your side of the field, face down, and now we're going to attempt to go into the first big welcome Labyrinth, trying of course later on to chain the Lady Labyrinth of the Silver Castle, but there is an Ash Blossom!
That's huge! That's the card you want to have versus the Labyrinth strategy. The field, kind of similar to the field he did in the first game, but that card in hand, that Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, may be the game-deciding factor here.
Yeah, that's absolutely the difference maker in this matchup. Ash Blossom is a simple yet so cruel card if you're playing Labyrinth, because everyone just includes it in their deck. It is just so generically good, but it stops your, I want to do some quotation marks here with my hands, combo.
Yeah, I mean, just compare how long the last turn of Gabriel Nats in the last game was, you know? And now this one right here, that was just a huge difference just because of that one Ash Blossom.
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. You get like multiple effects. You get the lady, you get the Chandragleer from the graveyard, just from negating the one big welcome.
Yep, okay.
Oh,
and
wow.
Gabriel picks up his cards. Giovanni equaling the score against Gabriel Nats, and therefore we are going to see a third game here.
You can just see what kind of difference one Ash Blossom makes there. 5 set cards, 3 powerful monsters on the field. And an Ash Blossom is just way too much to play through.
Do you remember the first time we saw that version of Labyrinth being very popular?
Yeah. I remember it, yep. You remember
what
it
event
too?
was it?
YCS London.
It was, indeed.
Yeah, I just remember seeing the turbo into Eradicator Epidemic virus.
That was sick, yeah.
Yeah, and the first thing I remember us saying after the match, where the deck was super successful and showed its strength, was, isn't this pretty vulnerable to Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring? And as you saw, it still kind of is.
Yeah, you don't have all of those other trap cards to fall back on. You played Rumor Karma Cannon. I have seen players play around with the Dogmatica Punishment and the Ice Dragon's Prisons. Those are very valuable cards as well. They also gain some resources sometimes, in the case of Dogmatica Punishment at least. But
yeah,
I mean, if you're just playing without those backup traps, we've also seen Solemn Strikes. I think Dinkabui won the German Nationals with Solemn Strikes in his main deck.
You know, speaking about Dinkabui, I got some live updates for all the fans at home. Dinkabui moving on to top 8 by defeating Kevin Simlali with his Fire King strategy. So that's some information for you guys at home. But now, of course, we are here in the middle of a match, here in the feature match area. Top 16 it still is. Game number 3 starting now.
Game 3. Gabriel now has the advantage of starting. He can accumulate this advantage from the Labyrinth monsters in his hand earlier, but we are seeing double Lightning Storm on the side of Giovanni.
Wow, that's crazy. So Gabriel leading this off. For the first time in this entire match, he finally gets to go first with his Labyrinth deck. So he should be happy, but he doesn't look necessarily happy at the moment. He's really trying to come up with something here.
Sometimes this deck also just doesn't deliver. We call this in the community a brick hand sometimes, if you just can't find your way into any good place or just have some lackluster plays. And this might be the case for Gabriel now. This might happen sometimes with the deck.
Yeah, totally. I think overall the terminology brick is kind of overused. People like still do stuff, but they are going to call it a brick at the end of the day. But okay, I mean, I see what you're saying, because activating Arias there in your first turn to start playing doesn't seem optimal, but now all of a sudden we kind of get things going. This does not look like a brick at all. Okay, Arya setting a trap, then of course also the lady, and now Ariana right after. This is looking nice.
Oh, and we're going to see the infinite impermanence chained to it. However, we do have the Welcome Labyrinth that can be activated. This is not a big Welcome Labyrinth, so you cannot use it to bounce back the Ariana and dodge the impermanence, but we can chain the Arias from the graveyard because there was an effect reacting to a Labyrinth effect of Gabriel.
I was wondering also, do you want to chain the lady here as well?
You could, totally.
Yeah. He's got to pick one there.
Oh, he does it. Does he? I mean, he has the Welcome Labyrinth, so he could chain to that one as well.
Yeah. But that might be negated by Ash Blossom. I think that's one of the things you think about with the Labyrinth deck, is you think I can go all in on trying to resolve my monster effects, but my trap effects even. But if you get Ash Blossom, it could be devastating.
This is top 16 of the YCS Bologna, and honestly, do you go all in or do you try to play it safe?
You are always playing for the win here, of course, because only the winner will be left in the tournament, so there's no choice. You have to go for it. And Gabriel hesitating, but now using Welcome Labyrinth.
So he decided to chain that, and the lady not at all.
I think he chained the lady as well.
Oh yeah, that might be true. He just accesses the deck with it.
Yeah. I mean, no, this is for Welcome Labyrinth, but I'm pretty sure we're also going to resolve the lady. Yeah, look, we're still in it. So Chainlink number 3 was the lady, and then Chainlink number 4 was the Welcome Labyrinth as well, which makes sense, because you are checking out whether your opponent has an Ash Blossom for that, and that kind of makes your decision on the lady as well there, on what to set. So I do like it by Gabriel there a lot. So, Gabriel, so far, only 1 draw and 1 loss in the entire tournament. And Eradicator is his card of choice there, okay.
Oh, and we have seen it before. There is a lightning storm in Giovanni's hand too, even. So you can actually go for a devastating spell card call right there. And we have Stovey Torby in hand as well. Additional resource. We can set so many cards. The big welcome Labyrinth is going to come out flying from the deck into the spell trap zone right there.
Yes, that's a very, very good setup. Leo, you were thinking, oh, maybe a brick, but this totally does not look like a breakthrough, even impermanence here to me. This looks very, very strong as a setup for Gabriel Nats.
This is the absolute opposite of a brick, and I see some Labyrinth fans in the crowd. They're going crazy right here because of this opening, and now we're going to see what happens next. Gabriel Nats is hesitating over the Eradicator Epidemic virus. Is he just going to activate it immediately?
Is he waiting? If he is waiting, that might be bad, because then the lightning storm can be activated.
This is looking good. We are going to activate a big welcome first. That makes sense because you want to chain the lady, of course, as well, and you cannot do that if you tribute it for cost.
Okay, Destructive Daruma Cannon was very successful in game 1. He wants to have it again then. There comes Kuklok.
Kuklok is immediately being bounced back to the hand as well. And now you can activate Stovey Torby. You can activate the Welcome Labyrinth from the graveyard. You can activate the Chandelier. This is so much value on Gabriel Nats side. The only question is, does he activate the Eradicator Epidemic virus right now?
The Ariana can draw a card. We've got to wait just one more second.
This is so much like Chainlink 1, 2, 3, 4, all the things happening, all the good things for Gabriel Nats, and now also the Eradicator, and the crowd is going wild, of course, going after spell cards. Lightning Storm is gone, and so no fear anymore for the cards in the spell trap zone of Gabriel Nats.
But this game is not over yet. There is Hydrant, there is Airlifter, and there is another trap card. We have discarded the Kuklok. Our trap cards are safe and they are ready to be activated.
Okay, Giovanni, what is he starting with? He's just checking. Welcome Labyrinth and the Daruma Cannon are the cards he has to deal with. Norman summon Airlifter using the effect, of course. Gabriel, does he even have a response to that? I would be thinking no, and therefore the thumbs up is coming. Giovanni reaching his hands to the deck.
But does he need a response to that? That is the big question. You can respond to other stuff. I think the only play that you can go for is searching out an emergency right here. And once you go for the emergency, special summon out something else, you can use the Daruma Karma Cannon to end the turn.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is true. So we are getting closer and closer to timeout. So maybe Giovanni just wants to go into the battle phase here, potentially trying to run over the Ariana and then be ahead in life points. That could be a way to at least be in the driver's seat in the life points department.
I mean, Gabriel also, I think, had an Ash Blossom in his hand to complement everything else.
Really?
Really?
Oh,
wow.
Look at that. Okay. Oh, yeah. We want to get ahead in life points. That's 100 points of damage for Gabriel Nats, and those 100 points of damage could be impactful because, as you see, 5 minutes left on the round here.
Giovanni is thinking. His face is already giving it away. This does not look good. Immediate drop of the Ash Blossom, and Gabriel Nats is advancing to the top 8 of YCS Bologna.
What a show. Gabriel Nats is just unstoppable at the moment. Maybe one of the hottest players we have at the moment in Europe, maybe even all over the world. Wow.
What a win. It's so exciting to see him win after coming so close in YCS Dortmund. So
I love that.
Let's see if he can take it all the way.
Wow, we were thinking, wow, he's hesitating a little bit. Usually the first turn lines of the deck are kind of obvious, but if you have so many plays, you just have to think a little bit about it. For the Arias, the Lady, the Welcome, the Ariana, even through the Impermanence, this was the absolute perfect setup. We got into our engine, we have so much value, and we even eradicated our opponent for those valuable side deck cards.
Yeah, and I love that. The crowd, of course, celebrating the winner of this feature match, but I think also the friends of the loser here, the friends of Giovanni, applauding him for, of course, a very great run all the way into top 16 here too at a home YCS in Bologna. I love to see that as well.
Yeah, I mean, it cannot be overstated just how much of an achievement it is to make it to the top 16. I mean, it's always, you know, we always talk about the winner of a feature match, but, you know, there are nearly 2,500 players here this weekend.
Totally.
And you've come in the top 16, so you've beaten over 2,000 players.
Yeah,
You've
but
done
now
such
that
a
you
fantastic
mentioned
job.
those last 16 players, let's have another look at who still is left in competition. Let's see the bracket and let's see who's still fighting, competing here for the last remaining top spot for the YCS finals. Oh, and look at that. We already have a result between Andrea and Simon. And Simon, he is moving on and he will be meeting Joshua Schmidt in top 8. What a matchup. And then after that, we also have Yoho. Okay, oh no, it's top 16, I just got told.
So that match is happening right now.
It is happening right now indeed. So interestingly enough, so Joshua Schmidt versus Simon He right now. That's crazy. Then we also have Yoho versus Matteo, I see. Okay, let's move on even further to see what else is there. I've already got the spoiler for you guys that Kevin lost to Dinkabui. So Dinkabui also one of the top 8 competitors once again. Like Gabriel Nets and Dinkabui, when are they not in top 8, honestly? We could already include them at the beginning of the tournament, to be honest.
That is true. The German players are going strong right here. We have seen Gabriel Nets, of course, also winning. And Pakawat versus Luca Foyan is also a crazy match, as well as Anthony Lopez versus Eduardo. The names, they are not even stopping at all.
It's such a crazy YCS, so many great names.
Oh!
Andreas Vrelos, of course, a person we have not even talked about just yet, because that actually is somewhat of a defending champion here in Italy, because he won YCS Milano in 2019, still competing as well in top 16.
With the Orcus Sky Striker deck back then beating True Draco in the finals, a deck that nobody ever thought of, I mean, not ever, but nobody thought about that turn.
His opponent also is going really strong.
Yeah.
Victor really is showing up here with his branded strategy. The only pure branded deck in top 64 is still left in competition. I really think he's a good shot at, he has a good shot at winning the tournament too, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, that's a super cool strategy to take. I really love playing with that deck, so I'd be really excited to see if we get it on the feature.
Totally. And I mean, let's not disregard Danilo and Georgios there at the end. They're also, of course, still left in the tournament, have an equally good shot at making it all the way into the finals. Not that many players anymore in the tournament, so all the players right now, of course, have the chance to do it, but one step closer to actually making it to the finals. Now, being a top 8 duelist is Gabriel Nets, so let's hear it from him in the winners interview.
Hi, Basti. Yes, I am here with Gabriel, who's just won that top 16 feature match and has now made his way into the top 8. Gabriel, you're no stranger to topping these kind of events, but how are you feeling here at Bologna?
I'm feeling pretty good. I was not really confident coming to this tournament because I didn't practice a lot, but I had a list from a friend and a lot of support from my friends, and yeah, it's working out.
You just reminded me of those friends at school who go into an exam going, oh, I haven't revised much, and then breeze it, no, I haven't practiced much, but I've just got to the top 8, you know?
My friend group calls me a homework stealer, so I think it's right on topic here.
Well, let's talk about this game, because you were pretty much being another expert display of a Labrynth deck in our feature matches. So a lot of interaction in game 1. You managed to take control of the field. You managed to out-resource Giovanni, so he scooped. So then game 2, he had a stronger start, that Turbulence. So Turbulence setting 4 from the deck. When you're up against that with Rescue Ace, how do you as a duelist with Labrynth prepare for that?
Yeah, so with Lab, like the win condition is basically establishing Lady Labyrinth of set, so he can't use Extinguish and Contain on it. That was actually bad because his hand wasn't that good. So I had the bounce from a Big Welcome, but because he didn't commit and he ended on the Turbulence, I couldn't use the Big Welcome bounce in the end phase because the Turbulence would pop a card. So him not going into IP actually like really screwed me over, because I just had Lab Engine and I couldn't bounce. So, and then they had the Ash for my trap card, which is the Lab's biggest weakness.
Yeah, that's a huge weakness, that card. We were all talking about that backstage as well. Nadir going, an Ash. The worst nightmare of Labrynth. But then let's talk about game 3, because game 3 was really exciting. You obviously had headphones on and were in the game, but you should have seen Leo in that game, especially when that Eradicator hit both of those lightning storms in the hand. He went nuts, the crowd went nuts. It was such an exciting moment. When that happened, did you basically think you had it secured?
Yeah, I mean, once I did the turn 1, I was pretty safe, I think. I just tried to play it as safe as possible, so I didn't use the Arias. I chose to chain the Lady, so I guarantee follow-up if you had an Ash. But I still was able to set up an Eradicator. And yeah, I mean, against this matchup, like if you have that plus Karma Cannon, which was a setup, it was fine. And then I drew the Ash of the Ariana. When I drew the Ash, I'm like, yeah, that's fine. We got this.
You knew you had it.
Yeah.
You knew you had it sorted. Well, congratulations. You're going to be in that top 8. Very exciting. I'm sure we might see you go really far down this. Best of luck to you. He's going to stick around, though, because we're going to speak to Gabriel and the rest of our top 8 contenders in just a moment. But before that, we have Leo, who's going to do a little Rescue Ace combo tutorial with Ben Kreutzkampf as well, so that you guys can see how that deck can be played. And considering we just saw it in the last feature match, it's pretty apt.